I wasn't invited to Christmas. Not a call, not a message, nothing. Then 2 days later, my mom sends me an email. No subject line, just an invoice for $52,000. For a car I didn't crash. A car I only co-signed. That's when I found the group chat where they planned it all behind my back. And that's when I decided enough. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. They didn't even bother to lie. I was scrolling through Instagram on Christmas Eve when I saw it. My entire family gathered around the tree, laughing, drinking, taking selfies with Grandma. Even the dog got a custom sweater. They were all wearing matching pajamas, the kind my mom insists on every year. There were presents piled high in the background, cinnamon rolls on the table, and someone had even strung up those twinkling fairy lights I gave my brother last year. But me? The only one missing. No call. No text. No invite. Just silence and then a public reminder that I wasn't wanted. I stared at my phone for a full minute, trying to convince myself it was a mistake. Maybe it was an old picture? Maybe they'd sent a group text and I somehow got left out? I refreshed the post. Nope. Christmas 2024 with the people who matter most, red heart, was right there in the caption. The people who matter most. And I wasn't one of them. What stung the most wasn't just being left out, it was knowing I used to be the glue that held it all together. Just last year I hosted Christmas at my apartment. I cleaned for days, decorated the whole place, cooked a 3-course meal. I paid for the ham, the drinks, the desserts. I even made sure everyone left with gifts, including my sister, who was too broke to buy anyone anything. She cried when I gave her a new set of tires for her car. Said it was the nicest thing anyone had ever done for her. Apparently, that kindness had an expiration date. This year, I wasn't even worth a chair at the table. I didn't say anything that night. I didn't comment on the photo or send a passive-aggressive message or even call to ask why. I just sat there quietly stunned while the rest of the world celebrated with their families. The next morning, I woke up to an email. No subject line. No greeting. No explanation. Just an attached PDF. At first, I thought it was spam. Some scam invoice. But no, it was real. An itemized bill for $52,163.88, titled, Damage and Loan Balance, 2019 BMW 3 Series. My heart dropped. That was my sister's car. 2 years ago, when her credit was trash and no one else would help her, I co-signed the loan so she could finally get the dream car she'd been whining about for months. She promised she'd never miss a payment, that she'd drive safe, that she'd take care of it like it was her baby. Apparently, driving safe didn't include barreling into a tree while drunk driving home from a party last month. The car was totaled. The insurance payout didn't cover it all. And since I co-signed, I was legally responsible for the balance. And now my family expected me to take care of it. No apology. No explanation. Not even a "how are you doing" after being iced out of Christmas. Just a forwarded bill and the unspoken expectation that I'd clean up, once again, after my sister's mess. I sat there shaking. Part anger, part heartbreak. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to cry. But instead, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I opened the old family group chat. I had muted it months ago when the constant bickering got to be too much. I forgot I was even still in it. What I found made my stomach turn. Weeks of messages. Planning, laughing, coordinating the Christmas party without me. They talked about food, games, the theme. And then, right there, my name. Don't invite her. She'll make everything about herself. Ever since she got that new job, she acts like she's better than us. Let's not deal with drama this year. We'll send her the bill after. They had planned this. They had made a conscious choice to leave me out, to talk behind my back, and then, after the celebrations were done, they sent me a bill. Like I was their personal bank. They didn't see me as family anymore. They saw me as a wallet with legs. And suddenly something in me snapped. Not in a bitter way, but in a clear, sharp, undeniable way. I was done. Done trying to earn their love with money. Done forgiving things that hurt. Done believing that family meant loyalty when all they gave me was obligation. I didn't respond to the email. Instead, I opened up an old spreadsheet. I typed in everything I had given them over the years. My sister's tires, $1,200. My brother's rent, $2,700. Mom's dental surgery, $6,500. Plane tickets. Groceries. Emergency cash. Birthday gifts, $14,400. I saved the file. Attached it to a new email. Typed one sentence. Since we're sending invoices now, here's mine. Payment due upon receipt. Then I hit send. The fallout was immediate. My sister sent me 3 angry voice notes and then blocked me. My mom called crying saying, "How could you be so cold? We're family." I wanted to ask her why that only applied when they needed something. Why it never applied when I was alone on Christmas Eve. But I didn't. I let them sit with it. And then I booked a solo trip. Somewhere warm. Somewhere far. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for choosing myself. They thought they could use me forever. They thought I'd stay quiet. But this Christmas? They gave me the gift of clarity. And I gave myself the freedom to walk away. 2 days after Christmas, I got an email from my mom. No subject line. No message. Just a cold, emotionless attachment. At first, I thought it was a mistake, maybe something she'd meant to send someone else, or forward a chain letter like the one she always used to spam the family group chat with. But when I opened the file, my stomach dropped. $52,163.88. That was the total listed at the bottom of the invoice, bolded, underlined, and staring back at me like a slap in the face. It was titled Vehicle Liability Settlement, and the language in it was so formal, so deliberately legal, it felt like something ripped straight from a courtroom. My full name was listed at the top as the secondary party responsible, along with payment instructions and a due date in bold red letters. I blinked, then blinked again. Surely this wasn't real. But it was. The repair bill was for my sister's BMW, the same car she begged me to co-sign for 2 years ago because her credit was a mess, and no one else would help her. I remembered the exact conversation. She had cried, telling me this car would help her keep a job, build her independence, finally take control of her life. I hesitated at the time, knowing what kind of impulsive, irresponsible decision she was capable of, but I did it anyway. Because that's what family does, right? Apparently, family also sends you a $52,000 invoice without a single warning. I scrolled down the document, reading every line as my heart pounded in my ears. She had crashed the car 3 weeks prior, driving home from a party while under the influence. Totaled it. The insurance covered part of the cost, but not nearly enough. And because my name was attached to the original loan, the unpaid balance had legally defaulted to me. And instead of calling to explain what happened, instead of having the decency to talk to me directly, they just sent a bill. Like I was some faceless creditor they could toss paperwork at. No Merry Christmas. No apology. Not even a, "How are you?" Just, "You owe this. Figure it out." I sat frozen in my chair, staring at the screen, trying to understand how we got here. How I went from being the sibling who always showed up, financially, emotionally, physically, to being treated like a stranger who owed them money. I didn't even get a seat at the Christmas table, but I got a seat at their financial crisis. Funny how that works. The longer I sat there, the more it sank in. This wasn't just a miscommunication. This was deliberate. Calculated. They had excluded me from Christmas on purpose, and now, conveniently after the celebrations were over, they decided to remember me when they needed a bailout. I started piecing it all together. The signs were there, I just hadn't wanted to see them. The weeks leading up to the holidays had been quiet. Too quiet. No one asked me about my plans. No one asked what I was bringing for dinner. I assumed maybe things were just hectic. I was wrong. They had gathered without me. Ate, laughed, took pictures, exchanged gifts, and I didn't even get a text. But 2 days later? Oh, suddenly I existed. Suddenly I was important enough to owe $52,000. That was the moment something in me cracked, not out of rage, but clarity. All these years I had been their fallback. The one who stepped in when the rent was due. The one who filled the gas tank when my brother's card declined. The one who quietly paid off mom's emergency dental work without making her feel guilty. I always did it willingly, thinking I was helping, holding the family together. But now I realized I wasn't family to them. I was a wallet with a pulse. I thought about the car. I remembered warning my sister to drive safe, to avoid reckless choices. She always brushed me off, calling me uptight. Nothing's gonna happen, she'd said. Now something had happened, and suddenly it was my job to clean it up? No, not this time. For a brief moment, I considered replying to the email, writing back with a long, thoughtful message about betrayal and boundaries. Maybe even calling them out on the way they had treated me, not just this year, but for years. I even started typing. Then I stopped. They didn't deserve an explanation. If they had wanted my humanity, they should have offered theirs. So instead, I opened up a spreadsheet on my laptop. I typed in every dollar I had spent on them over the last few years. Tires for my sister's car, $1,200. My brother's rent for 3 months, $2,700. Groceries, school books, flight tickets, surprise gifts. I added it all up. $14,400. Then I saved the file, attached it to a blank email, and hit reply to my mom's original message. My subject line? Response invoice, past support payments. My message? Since we're sending bills now, here's mine. Payment due immediately. I didn't hear back. But the group chat lit up the next day. My sister sent me 3 furious texts alternating between, "How could you?" and "You're heartless." My mom called crying, saying I was tearing the family apart. And then came the guilt tripping, "After all we've done for you." I ignored every message. Because for the first time in my life, I saw the truth. They didn't love me. They loved what I could give them. And the second I stopped giving, I stopped matching. So no, I won't be paying for that car. And I won't be co-signing any more loans or paying off bills or pretending everything's fine just because we share DNA. They left me out of Christmas. Now I'm leaving them out of my future. I was shaking with anger. My hands trembled as they hovered over the keyboard, ready to type anything back to my mother after that invoice. But something in me hesitated. A small voice whispered, "Wait." So instead of responding, I opened something I hadn't looked at in months, our old family group chat. Big mistake. Or maybe the best thing I could have done. I had muted it a while back, during a period when the messages became more draining than comforting. Constant passive-aggressive remarks. Inside jokes I wasn't included in. Conversations that fizzled out when I tried to join in. At some point, I guess I just silenced it. Out of self-preservation. Out of hope that maybe one day things would get better and I'd unmute it again, like nothing ever happened. But as I scrolled through the messages now, I realized something brutal. They never stopped talking. They just stopped including me. And there it was. Clear as day. "Don't tell her we're doing it at my place. She'll make it all about her. She always acts like she's better than us since she got that job. She's so uptight. It'll ruin the vibe. Well, she did co-sign the car, so technically it's on her anyway. Let's just wait till after the holidays to send it so it doesn't ruin anything." I read every word. My mouth went dry. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. I reread the lines like they might somehow change if I blinked hard enough. They excluded me on purpose. Not by accident. Not because they forgot. Not because of some mix-up or misunderstanding. They planned it. Strategically. They waited until the decorations were put away, the gifts unwrapped, the photos posted, and only then did they remember me. Not as a daughter. Not as a sister. But as a signature on a car loan. A safety net. I sat there in silence, feeling the weight of every moment I had ever sacrificed for them. Every birthday gift I stretched my budget for. Every bill I paid when someone came crying to me. Every time I bit my tongue to keep the peace. I thought I was being loyal. I thought I was showing love. But in their eyes I was just the responsible one. The one who'd take care of things. The one they could leave out because I wouldn't make a fuss. Because I always did the right thing. But this time, they were about to learn something new. Because they forgot one very important thing about me. I don't play the victim. Not anymore. I closed the group chat and sat quietly. Let the anger wash over me, but didn't let it consume me. For once I didn't cry. I didn't write a long message asking why they treated me this way. I didn't beg for answers or plead for reconciliation. Because the truth was staring me right in the face. They had made their choice. Loud and clear. And now it was my turn. I opened up my laptop and began typing. Not a message. Not a response. A spreadsheet. I documented every single time I helped them financially over the past 5 years. Tires for my sister's car, $1,200. Rent I covered for my brother when he lost his job, $2,700. Groceries for mom when she said she was a little behind, $400 here, $600 there, it added up fast. The emergency dental surgery I paid for out of pocket, $6,500. Birthday gifts, gas money, groceries, Ubers, hotel rooms, last-minute bailouts. By the time I was done, the total was over $14,000. I took a breath, stared at the number for a moment, then attached the spreadsheet to an email. Subject, since we're sending invoices. Body, here's mine. Payment due immediately. No other words. No emotion. Just facts. I clicked send. Within minutes, my phone lit up. First, a message from my sister. WTF is this? Are you seriously doing this right now? Then another, you're messed up. You know that. Then came the voice notes. Hysterical crying. Accusations. How could you do this to family? You're heartless. You know I don't have that kind of money. I didn't reply. Next came my mother. She called twice. I let it ring. Then came a long text that started with I didn't know about those group messages and ended with you're overreacting. Overreacting? I was disrespected, discarded, and then treated like a bank. And the moment I pushed back, suddenly I was the problem. It was so predictable it almost made me laugh. This wasn't about me being cold or cruel. This was about the fact that they didn't expect me to fight back. They counted on my silence. They assumed I'd carry the burden like always. That I'd take the hit so they could keep pretending everything was fine. But this time I chose myself. I blocked the group chat. I muted my sister's endless voice notes. I turned off my phone and booked a weekend getaway. A cozy cabin in the mountains, just me and some peace and quiet. The air was cold but the silence was warm. I sat by the fireplace that night with a blanket and a cup of tea, not even thinking about the $52,000. Because I knew I wouldn't be paying it. Not 1 cent. Let them figure it out. They had each other, right? The real family. The group that laughed and exchanged gifts while I scrolled alone. Let them split the cost and learn what it feels like to clean up their own mess. As for me, I'm done pretending. Done chasing affection I'll never receive. Done financing love that only shows up when the bills due. They wrote me off for Christmas. So I finally did the same. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't send an angry message or try to guilt-trip anyone into apologizing. Because the truth was I didn't expect an apology. Not anymore. That part of me, the one that kept hoping they'd change, that they'd see what they were doing, that one day they'd just get it, that version of me was gone. What replaced her was calm. Not peace exactly. But a deep, still silence that only comes when you've been pushed past the limit so many times. You don't flinch anymore. So instead of reacting with emotion, I opened Excel. I created a spreadsheet. Plain simple list. No fluff. No rants. Just numbers. Cold, hard, undeniable facts. I scrolled back through my bank statements and credit card history, combing through the years I'd been helping out my family. My sister's tires, $1,200. She cried when I paid for them, saying I saved her life. I never even asked for a thank you afterward. My brother's rent for 3 months when he lost his job and decided to find himself instead of work, $2,700. He swore he'd pay me back. He never did. Mom's dental surgery, when she said she couldn't handle the pain anymore but had maxed out her credit cards, $6,500. I didn't even blink when I paid the bill. I told her I had it covered. Groceries, holidays, birthday gifts, unexpected emergencies, last-minute help. Easily another $4,000, probably more. The total stared back at me. $14,400. And the wildest part? I hadn't even noticed it adding up. It was like breathing for me, give, give, give. Because that's what I thought family was for. You don't let your loved ones fall. You don't keep score. But when they sent me that invoice for $52,163.88 for a car I didn't wreck, for a mistake I didn't make, from a celebration I wasn't even invited to, I realized they'd been keeping score all along. They just saw me as their fallback plan. So now it was my turn. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, I added a short note. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just 6 simple words typed in bold. Since we're sending invoices now. Then right below that, here's mine. Payment due immediately. Happy holidays. I saved the file and attached it to an email. I addressed it to my mom, CC'd my sister and brother. The same group that coordinated Christmas behind my back. The same group that made the decision to exclude me from the family, only to remember me when there was a bill to pay. Before I hit send, I did one more thing. I forwarded the email and all supporting documents, bank statements, text screenshots, and the original $52,000 invoice to my lawyer. Yes, I had a lawyer. Because the minute I got promoted into a senior management role earlier this year, I started preparing myself. Not for anything in particular, but just in case. Because when you start moving up, The people who once cheered for you sometimes turn into people who feel entitled to what you've earned. I never thought I'd need that lawyer for my own family, but here we were. He replied within the hour. Said I wasn't legally obligated to pay the car loan unless a court ordered it, and even then we had options. He also said if they tried to take legal action against me, like the invoice threatened, we could counter with a claim for emotional damages and financial exploitation. I wasn't sure I'd go that far. But knowing I could, that gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time: power. I sent the email. Then I turned off my phone. I went for a walk. Bought myself a coffee. I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel sad. I just felt clear. Like fog had lifted. Like I had been sleepwalking for years through this family dynamic, convincing myself I was the good one because I kept the peace. Because I said yes. Because I helped. But helping without boundaries isn't love. It's self-betrayal. And I wasn't doing it anymore. The next day the messages started flooding in. My sister, predictably, lost her mind. Dozens of texts. Voice notes laced with panic, guilt, rage, then back to begging. She couldn't believe I'd actually gone through with it. She called me selfish. Said she could lose her car, her credit, her job. I didn't respond. Then came Mom. Her message was longer. It tried to play both sides. She didn't mean to leave me out of Christmas. She didn't know the others were saying those things in the group chat. She wished she had done things differently, but also, couldn't I just let this go? I closed the message without reading the end. Because I finally understood, every time I forgave them too easily, I taught them I was safe to mistreat. And I'm not anymore. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to make them suffer. I didn't even want the $14,400 back. What I wanted, what I needed, was to make it known that the cycle ends here. That I'm done being the reliable one only when it benefits them. That I am no longer the silent, dependable backbone of people who can't even offer me a seat at their holiday table. It's been a few weeks now. No one's paid the invoice. I didn't expect them to. But they've also stopped calling. And for the first time in years, the quiet doesn't feel lonely. Feels like peace. When they got my response, the group chat lit up like a Christmas tree fitting, considering I wasn't even invited to the actual holiday celebration. My sister was the first to explode. 10 voice notes. Back to back. Each one more chaotic than the last. Crying, yelling, demanding to know how I could be so cruel. She called me selfish. Heartless. A traitor. She went from sobbing to screaming in under a minute, accusing me of ruining everything. As if I was the one who crashed the car. As if I was the one who iced someone out of the holidays and then dropped a 5-figure invoice in their lap like a bomb. Then came my mom. Not with a phone call or a real apology, of course not, but with a carefully crafted email. The subject line was empty. Classic. The body was full of guilt. She opened with, "I just don't understand how you could do this to your family." That line. Your family. It was supposed to sting. It was supposed to trigger something inside me that would make me cave. That would make me feel like the bad guy. The ungrateful daughter. The one tearing everything apart. But it didn't work. Not anymore. Because here's the truth. Family doesn't use you. Family doesn't keep score behind your back and then send you the bill for something you didn't do. Family doesn't gossip about you in secret group chats, laugh at your absence during Christmas, and then cry foul when you finally draw a line. Family doesn't exclude you, exploit you, and then guilt you the second you decide to protect yourself. So no, I wasn't doing this to my family. I was doing this for myself. And the moment they realized I wasn't bluffing, that this wasn't just another outburst I'd later apologize for, they panicked. They threatened to go public. Said they'd air our dirty laundry, make it known to everyone what I had done, how heartless I'd become. I told them to go ahead. Let them try. Because I had receipts. Screenshots. Emails. Spreadsheets. Voice notes. Years of evidence. And best of all, no shame. I had nothing to hide. They, on the other hand, had plenty. And just like that, the rage died down. The shouting stopped. The guilt trips faded into silence. Not slowly immediately. Because manipulators don't know what to do when you stop playing along. When you stop explaining yourself. When you stop needing their approval and start living without it. That silence? It used to terrify me. I used to fill it with apologies, with overcompensating, with desperate attempts to be part of the family again. But now? Now the silence is golden. It's been months since that day. Since the email. Since the fake tears and the panicked messages and the threats. And you know what? Not one of them followed through. No legal action. No public exposé. No grand confrontation. Because they knew they had no case, no defense, no real argument. Just entitlement and wounded pride. They never paid my invoice either. Of course not. That was never really the point. I didn't expect them to suddenly become accountable or self-aware. All I needed was to make it clear that they couldn't keep treating me like an ATM with emotions. That they couldn't keep calling it love when it was really just convenience. And as for that $52,000, they can pay it themselves. Or better yet, maybe they can crowdfund it on Instagram. Post another family photo, spin a sob story, ask strangers to help them out. They're good at pretending. Let them hustle the public the way they tried to hustle me. Because I'm done playing the fool. While they sat in their manufactured drama, I celebrated the new year on a beach in Mexico. Yes, Mexico. I booked the trip 2 days after sending that email. No hesitation. Just clicked confirm and packed my bags. I didn't even tell anyone. I turned off my phone, boarded that plane, and left the weight of everything behind. I spent 5 days doing nothing but breathing, reading, walking along the shoreline, letting the sun melt the stress out of my bones. I drank coconut water straight from the shell. I watched the sunset from a hammock strung between 2 palm trees. I felt the sand between my toes and thought, this is what peace feels like. Not because I'm cold. Not because I'm heartless or vindictive or out for revenge. But because sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is walking away from people who only show up when they need something. People who only remember your number when there's a problem to fix. Who forget your birthday but remember your credit score. Who disappear when you're struggling but send you invoices when they mess up. Sometimes the most radical act of love is not forgiveness. It's distance. It's saying, I love myself too much to keep doing this. It's choosing solitude over toxicity. It's celebrating the holidays alone, not because you have no one, but because you finally realized you deserve better than people who only value your usefulness. So no, I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't make a scene. I made a choice. And that choice was me. So no, I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't beg for love that should have been freely given. I simply walked away with my dignity, my peace, and my power. Because sometimes the real gift is realizing you don't owe anyone anything, especially not people who treat your loyalty like a receipt they can cash in whenever they want. I chose myself. And I've never felt more free. If this story hit home, don't forget to like the video. It helps more than you know. And if you've ever had to walk away from people who only showed up when they needed something, subscribe to the channel. We tell stories that speak the truth others are too afraid to say. Bellhop bell turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and remember, choosing peace is never selfish.